I'm going to be asleep or something. Here we are.
Helo a chroeso I podlediad Video Politics Cymru. Hello and welcome to another Politics Cymru video podcast. This week we're coming at you from No Star Bar and Hostel in the shadow of the Welsh Millennium Stadium, just across the river. So shall we get on with the hellos then, boys? Hello to Vaughan Roderick.
Hello. Hi, Vaughan.
Hello to Bethan Powys.
Hello, Bethan.
And hello to Nick Speed.
Hi, Nick.
And a special hello to our cameraman David. Hello, David.
Hi, Dav.
Who's been moaning that we haven't...
Sterling job.
Yes, great work, Dav. Who's been moaning that we haven't said hello to him since November, so we thought we'd get that out of the way this week. A bit of self-promotion as well. If you're not doing anything tomorrow afternoon, we suggest that you listen to Vaughan Roderick's podcast, because you might recognise 1, 2 or 3 voices on the podcast.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Well, it's all about self-promotion. We're in t-shirts, so we might as well...
It doesn't really do much for radio, that, though, does it?
No, true. We haven't got faces for radio, we've been told on several occasions. So, look, quite a quiet week this week, actually, isn't it? There's not been loads of news floating around.
No, it's not been, no tsunami of something.
Unlike other weeks we've had, of course. But the All Wales Convention, its last public meeting is tonight in Cardiff. And Sir Emyr Jones Parry was on Ecef Nawdig Now last night, and he was saying that more people are interested in the Lions Tour. Do we agree with him? Are people more interested in the Lions Tour than...
I'm probably one of the only people who's probably more interested in the All Wales Convention than the Lions Tour, to be honest.
You don't even know what rugby ball looks like.
No, I think that's probably about right. I think that there's probably been very little interest overall in the workings of the All Wales Convention. I think people, like I've said before, people have probably got bigger issues and bigger things on their mind than what's been going on in Cardiff Bay.
And I think at the moment as well, anything to do with politics, people are just switching off now because they are so annoyed with things that are going. There's so much political apathy at the moment. And then, it brings you to the age-old question, really. Whose role is it to get the public enthused? Is it down to politicians? Should the public feel that they have some kind of democratic duty to enthuse themselves? Or is it down to people like ourselves, maybe, wannabe journalists to
It's a vicious circle in that regard. But... why is it, do you think, that people are interested now? We talk about the expenses, but of course, the All Wales Convention has been started and has been carrying on for a long time before the expenses scandal kicked off. So, and there wasn't many people going then. Is it because perhaps there's a lack of debate outside the convention, because there's no Yes campaign, there's no campaign sort of been quiet for the past couple of months?
I think it's difficult for people to relate what the All Wales Convention is doing to their own lives. I don't think people can see a correlation between what's that. Do you know what I mean? The two don't seem to relate, because people are kind of going out there and they're buying their food and they're paying their bills and they're paying their taxes, and they don't see how that relates to what the All Wales Convention is doing.
There's also, I think, you're picking up on the point there that there is no Yes campaign yet, so you're not getting this sort of heated debate. I think that's important to get anybody interested and enthused in the process. And in that regard, I think that Plaid Cymru and the One Wales coalition, with Labour as well, might be shooting themselves in the foot, because they're delaying the Yes campaign now. I think they probably need to get that off the ground to get people debating and for the One Wales for the All Wales Convention to come back with a positive
because we've been
outcome.
Talking about this for quite some time now.
Since
November, and there's been no movement, no new progress, nothing on the Yes campaign front, certainly.
But I think it would probably be unwise. I think Plaid are not necessarily wrong in what they're doing, in that they're kind of holding off having a Yes campaign until they know what they're campaigning for. Until the All Wales Convention comes back and says what it says, we can't know what the Yes campaign is all about.
Of course, it's difficult for us to say, but what do we think the outcome will be in December? Is they going to give us a conclusive answer as to the opinion of the people of Wales, or not?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be pretty non-committal. It's going to be a typical kind of Tory report on the future of devolution, if you like. Do
you think?
I think so.
I think it's going to be pretty much everything that we've heard already. Things like, yes, there probably is a bit of an appetite for devolution, but they're not at the time when people are more concerned about other things, not at the time of a recession and things like that. I think we're going to have to, that timing is going to be really, really important.
Well, we shall hopefully find out what people of Cardiff said at tonight's meeting, and hopefully Sir Emyr Jones Parry will say something about how it's gone, and we'll bring you all the news on that after the meeting. If, of course, you're watching this after Thursday, this has already happened, so don't go down to Cardiff to go to the meeting, because
there'll be nobody there.
You'll be on your Todd. Right, this week's quiz, the quiz is, but I know everybody's concerned there's no quiz these days.
Who's concerned?
Well, my parents are concerned there's no
I'm I'm terrified of these quizzes.
This quiz is coming back. Of course, Dewi Tree is the incumbent.
I've a lot of pressure on me at the moment. You know what I mean with this quiz,
Can you
Lark?
cope with it? Can you cope with the pressure? That's the
I might
question.
crack.
That's
I
a question
could
we're
crack.
asking. Right, stop looking at the answers. Right, okay. This week's quiz is about Jane Davidson.
I am
because
terrified.
She was there on Tuesday for the press briefing, and it is EU Green Week, and with her being the Environment Minister, I thought it was a good idea to have a Jane Davidson quiz.
Tenuous, isn't it?
It is tenuous.
Okay, right, so, first question, loaded question as well, actually, because, okay, anyway.
Good start.
How old is Jane Davidson?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Do we get a choice?
Don't worry, I've given you three options, right? Is she 52, 50 or 48? How old is Jane Davidson? 52, 50 or 48?
For fear of
48.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
You're both going for the same answer?
Yeah,
You're both
48.
going for 48. Well, you're both wrong, because she's actually 52.
She looks well for her age.
Doesn't she?
She
Eh?
look great.
Doesn't she?
Don't worry, the rest of the questions are actually more politically pertinent. But I thought I'd ask a good loaded question, see if I can get you in some trouble.
No,
but
Look how we bottled that.
yeah, we'll avoid it. Right, next topic for discussion is we wrote a bit of a blog about this week about the number of AMs that have announced that they're stepping down at the next election. So we've got to date Rodri Morgan, Dr. Brian Gibbons, Lorraine Barrett, Mick Bates, Jane Davidson. Are there going to be more? And why do we think that so many are now announcing that they're standing down?
See, I think this is more coincidence rather than conspiracy, really, to be honest.
Right.
I think that the Assembly's been in place now or will have been in place by 2011 for 12 years. I think that people have been there, they've kind of done it. I think a lot of people will have kind of passed that amount of time that they kind of saw themselves doing this for. I think that's...
It's just that is nearly 10% of the Assembly stepping down.
Yeah.
And that one of the key men there being the First Minister and another member of Cabinet. Well, two members of Cabinet.
Yeah.
I think that is true. I mean, people have been there now since, for 10 years. They probably are quite tired of it, and want to go on and do something else or retire or whatever. I'm just a little bit worried that the credibility of the Assembly itself will suffer, especially at this time when there is so much disillusionment with the Assembly. Seeing all these leading AMs stepping
I'm
down.
the opposite. I think that actually this could be really, really good for the Assembly because it gets in that new blood, it gets in new people, new faces.
Lack of experience,
Well, that's
maybe.
the other side of the debate, but
or maybe a new fresh voices.
Okay, second question. I've got to hide these answers from the sheet in there. Right. Which of the following roles has Jane Davidson not held in the Assembly?
Ooh.
Not held. Okay.
Right.
Minister for Education, Lifelong Learning and Skills, Deputy Presiding Officer, or Deputy Minister for Skills? Which of those has she not held?
She's definitely done education. I'm going to say Deputy Presiding Officer.
I think Deputy Minister for Skills.
Oh no, don't you...
Deputy.
Oh,
She has been Deputy Presiding Officer and she has been Minister of Education and Lifelong Skills.
she came to my school actually when she was
Did she?
Minister for Education. Yeah, had a nice chat with her. Had a spot of lunch.
Shame she didn't come when she was Deputy Presiding Officer, really, wasn't it?
That would have helped. wouldn't
Okay,
it?
well, since we're
Oh
talking
my
about
God.
Jane Davidson, she's announced £300 million on cutting carbon emissions, looking to cut by 3% after 2011. Is this enough, or should the Assembly be doing more?
It's only a small contribution that a devolved Assembly can make. It's a central government issue, it's a central government policy. They can have more of an impact. So I think the Assembly are doing a lot, but I think they're probably doing as much as they can.
They
really.
need to cut by 6% though, and it's only
Yeah.
3% at the moment. So
I think this is somewhere where the Westminster government and the EU now need to take a lead, really, because at the end of the day, the Welsh Assembly government's budget is perhaps too small for them to
it is
give more
because it is a
money.
global issue, really, isn't it? So last question then, to see if you can bring it back
Go on,
for a
have it
tie
then.
before we close. Jane Davidson is the Vice President of which Welsh society? Okay, the Ramblers Association, the Welsh Association of Potholers, or the Wales Association of National Park Authorities. Which of those is she Vice President of? To close the podcast.
National Park Authority.
Yeah, it's got to be National
Park Authorities.
I've got it.
What are you saying?
National Park. It's
You're
got
not
to
even
be
gonna go for
national.
something
No,
different,
it's got
but even in a
Fine. I'll go for Ramblers.
Gone for Ramblers, and he's right. So you owe me that. So it's a tie. It's a tie this week, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm clawing my way
For the
back.
Politics Comedy quiz. Dewi's three technically still champion then for next week. Yeah, so diolch yn fawr I chi am wrando, mwylio. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for No Star again for letting us film here. So we'll be back with you again next Thursday from a different location around in Cardiff. Keep your comments, your Twitters and all that stuff coming in because it's really cool. So thank you very much, and hwyl fawr from all of us.